And then 4.5 years ago, I started a full-time job at Nash, kind of testing and helping with R&D for the first little bit, and then that quickly transitioned into kite design. And yeah, kite design became my full-time gig and that
Let's
kind of
continue
stuff.
with the bar because it looks quite intimidating. It's got, for all the listeners of the podcast, it's got a, I don't know, it's called a hook bar. It's like a,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a hook basically.
And then he left Nash right about
Did he have
when
to
it was
leave
launching.
or because of the morph?
No. But
Sorry.
obviously, obviously the morph could have done with some improvements.
Come on,
But
it was a V1.
to
Everyone was looking for new
exactly,
things.
to
It's
his
okay.
credit.
This episode is sponsored by SurfEars. SurfEars are not only important if you foil in cold water to prevent exostosis, SurfEars are also super important if you foil in dirty waters, especially now as it gets warmer. The water that's in your ear canal can actually cause infection. So you want to protect yourself, use SurfEars that keeps the water out, lets sound through, which is important. Stay healthy, get your SurfEars in the link in the description. Now let's begin the episode.
This is Up on Foil, the podcast for everyone flying just above the surface. Pump, carve, soar, let's foil!
This episode is also supported by Foilsessions, but more on that later.
Welcome to episode number 99 of Up on Foil, the podcast where we talk all about foiling. And let me introduce us real quick. I'm Matt. I'm an intermediate foiler. I'm mostly on the parawing. Fell back in love with winging a bit, but it's just like I'm a weekend warrior. And with me today is Ewan Jaspan, and he's the man behind this little baby here, the Hatch 2, Nash Parawing. Thank you so much, Ewan, for coming on the show. We're going to get all into this Parawing, but also your personal story, because I'm eager to get to know you. We haven't met before. First of all, how are you, man? When was your last session?
Hey, yeah, great to be on here. Nice to be on. I've watched plenty of your YouTube videos and stuff, so cool to be here. And my last session was, I don't know, like 16 hours ago. Yesterday, and I'll probably be heading out after this podcast today. So yeah, we're in the middle of summer here in Hood River, so it's just every single day perfect conditions for foiling and kiting, and yeah, so I'm getting after it as much as I can because this is our time of year.
I mean, it looks amazing. The images from Hood River are incredible, and you're lucky, man, to be there. Really. How is it if you have every day you have good conditions? Do you sometimes feel like, well, today I'm not feel like it, even though the conditions are good, or do you kind of have to go because of your job? How is that for you?
Um, yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, for sure, part of my job is being, well, at least how I view it, is being obsessed with it and being on the water all the time. And, that's how I feel I design my products, whether it's parawing or kiting, is kind of immersing into it and doing it as much as I can. And, that's, being trying to know everything about it and see all the other people and demo gear and try all the competitors. But at the same time, it's, what I love to do. So of course I'm going to do it. And also, like, it does get every day, you get pretty tired, but if you wake up and you're like, I'm going to take a day off, the days are so long at this time of year as well. You get to the middle of the afternoon and it's been windy all day and just like, what am I doing? I may as well go to the hatchery and go for a session.
That is amazing. Because here, if the
So
conditions are good, we kind of have to go because it's so rare that we have good conditions. So a day with wind and you're not able to go, that's
yeah.
FOMO at its peak. Like, terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think no matter how much wind you have, you still get that FOMO. No matter if you're obsessed enough with foiling and riding, then every day is a good day. So you got to go out.
So you're working with or for Nash on that Parawing. How much are you working for Nash? Is that your 100% commitment? Are you working on other stuff as well? Maybe before we get into the Hatch 2?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm obviously full time with Nash. I've been with Nash a long time. I started as a team rider for Nash when I was 15, for kiting, for like freestyle kiting, and then when I finished high school, I joined the world tour, and then just toured as a pro kiter from when I was 7 and almost 18 until COVID, basically until 2020. So then I was 20, 26, 27. And then after that, I started working. So about 4.5 years ago, maybe till 2021. And then 4.5 years ago, I started a full-time job at Nash, kind of testing and helping with R&D for the first little bit. And then that quickly transitioned into kite design. And yeah, kite design became a full-time gig. And obviously at that point, there was no parawinging. There was winging, but we had a wing designer. It was actually the reason I kind of came on was it was as winging was really growing, and our kite designer before was doing a lot of work on wings. And then it became to the point where it's like, okay, winging is taking, a lot of his time because winging was really growing and he was putting loads of effort into the wings, and the kites needed someone to come in and support. So I came in and supported for a bit, and he helped me like learn the program and stuff. Obviously, I knew a lot about testing and kites and stuff before, but I didn't know how to use the program and work with the factories and all that kind of stuff. So he kind of mentored me into that for a little bit, and then I eventually took it all over. So I've been doing kites for the last 4 years, coming up 4 years, yeah. And then when Parawing started, we had another guy who started. He was a paraglider and an engineer at Nash, and he was like the perfect. Obviously, if you foil and you paraglide, we were like, okay, you're the guy for the job. So he did the first Parawing, our morph, and then he left Nash right about
Did he have
when
to
it was
leave
launching.
or because of the morph?
No. But
Sorry.
obviously, obviously the morph could have done with some improvements.
Come
But
on, it was a V1.
to
Everyone was looking for new
exactly,
things. It's
to his
okay.
credit, I think we were the third production Parawing on the market. So to his credit, he was a junior engineer as well, but it worked, and it was, at that point there was nothing to go off. Like there was some BRMs, you couldn't really get your hands on it. There was I think the Flow
Flow was
D-Wing,
soon.
I think.
Roger from
I
Enders
think
was
that
early as well.
and it came out about the same time as the Ensys Roger.
Yeah. Which has its flaws as well.
So, which exactly had its flaws. They all had their flaws, those first few ones. It was a way into the market, and just, at least what it did was sparked everyone's interest in. There was the potential. You could see the potential. At that point, it needed to be like 16 gusting 16.5 knots for it to be comfortable.
The more the
and
better with the morph, I think.
yeah. And then, but obviously we were doing downwinders already at that point with it on small foils and small boards. And that was like what sparked interest. And I started parawing a lot right at that point. I was kind of injured through the development of the morph, so I couldn't help test. So I didn't really parawing much on that first one. And then
maybe that was a problem.
As soon as he left, it could have been. I wasn't involved in the testing, but yeah, as soon as he left, then I kind of got tasked with, okay, you can. Well, it wasn't more that you can make the next one. It was more like I pushed for it because I got pretty obsessed with parawing straight away, and I was like, I can do this. We need, a V2 V2 Parawing, so the Hatch V1. There's a lot of things we need to improve on, and obviously I had to learn a lot, as did anyone with design. No one's designed Parawings before. Sure, some people have designed paragliders and parakites and that kind of stuff, but that definitely would give you a really good base. But a lot of what the Parawing is knowledge of parawinging and on-water experience, and there's so many weird quirks and stuff that make a Parawing good that you don't really know unless you have an amazing test team or you just do it yourself all the time. So I kind of spent a lot of time just obsessing over it and designing, prototypes, and got to a pretty good place where we very quickly launched the Hatch V1 because we really needed something that was more accessible than the Morph on the market, and to kind of move on from that quickly to establish ourselves as a brand that's in the Parawing scene, and you can buy the Parawing and have a great time on it. So
Can I
that
just
was
ask you,
probably from when,
when you came out with the Hatch One, what did you take over from the Morph? Did you start on a blank piece of paper, or did you take the Morph and start to adjust here and there? How does that process work?
no, I pretty much started on a blank. I mean, you basically, the process, if you start blank, you always start with something in the program in Glider Plan, which is what I use to design, and I think it's what most designers are using. But it starts you off with a huge double skin paraglider, basically, and from there you can very quickly just change it to be the right size, the panel count, and start working on making it a single skin. And then from there, that's kind of your blank sheet, is once you've just got it at least the right size and shape, and then you kind of
Was
go
it
from
was it
there. But
obvious for you to start with a single skin, or were you at the beginning quickly thinking about a twin skin as well?
no, I was pretty much, I mean, for the first hatch, it was basically the Hatch V1. I didn't want to take too much risk. I flew a bunch of the good Parawings on the market at the time, and I pretty much was just like, I need to make something that can, be on par very quickly. Don't take any big risks. I did a pretty simple outline, simple profile, pretty simple bridle. And I think that was just keeping it simple and making something that works isn't actually too hard. So very
One might
risk-free,
think.
and yeah, yeah. I mean, comparatively to, if you're trying to make something really, really good. But it worked. After a few prototypes, we were working with a factory that knows a lot of stuff about all the materials and all that. And so it was, it was still a lot of time, but it wasn't, like years of work and stuff. It was, I think, what the Morph came out in like March, and then we launched the Hatch in like September or October. So it was very quick for a product cycle. The nice thing about Parawings is that the factories seem to be able to build them quite quickly, and also you can airship them instead of sea ship them because they're so small.
Yeah.
So it does cut down on lead times quite a lot compared to kites or foils or that kind of stuff, which is heavy, and to airship it is expensive. So that helps with lead times and launching products sooner. But yeah, as soon as we kind of launched, or before we launched the Hatch V1, we knew it was a good product, usable. People, we got some pretty good reviews from it, but I already knew what I wanted to work on for the V2, which was making something. I think the main thing I wanted to do was make it easier to use and just make parawinging much easier for the general person. So pretty much
But
the main things that makes
how was the Hatch
Yeah.
One difficult? Because I flew it. It turned quite well. It had an amazing low end. That was surprising to me. I remember that. I had the 5, I think it was. Beautiful red, big wing, but super light, turned well. Like the low end was phenomenal.
Yeah, so the low end was great. The steering, I really like. I still really like the steering on the Hatch V1. It's very like whippy and intuitive and quite quick for each size. I think where it was lacking was the top end.
Yeah,
The leading edge was quite small and the profile wasn't super robust. A little too much sweep into the tips as well, which kind of makes a little bit of drag on the tips and caused some instability as well. And then it was, because it was quite nice to turn and steered quite easily, it was a little maybe advanced feeling for some people, especially in the smaller sizes. It got quite fast and twitchy, which for
yeah,
me, I really liked. And this is probably one of the things that I was far more aware of with V2 was testing with a lot more beginners,
that's a
and a
good
lot more low.
idea.
Like I could ride the small ones great, and I loved them because they were so quick and they felt like a little kite when you're kite foiling, like a 3 meter kite, like a super quick and fast and light. But then when I got it with beginners, they would struggle to get it on foil because it was quite quick through the window, really twitchy. And then to depower it, because it was really fast at going upwind as well, the way I would depower it was just edge harder on foil and push it into the window, kind of like an old school kite with no depower, where you need to use your edge control. But if you're climbing onto the board and super gusty wind and trying to hang off it and depower it, it was a little collapsy on the front. And if you really got it into strong winds, toe side especially, where you can't edge as hard and you're one-handed, you could get some collapses. But in its wind range, it's a really great wing.
Yes,
But
100%.
the top end, the top end of it was something I really wanted to improve on, the depower, because having much more top end just makes it so that you can ride more powered as well and always get on foil. And then also just having a much more usable range on the bar, like the Hatch. A lot of Parawings, not just the Hatch V1, most Parawings you have to hold right at the front of the bar. And
Hmm.
it was something I noticed at shows and stuff. You would give someone the Parawing and they would grab it in the middle because, of course, you grab a bar in the middle. But if you grab the bar in the middle, it would just backstall, which most of them do. So you would have to be quite precise where you put your hand on the Hatch V1. Like I knew exactly where to put my hand, and people who use it a lot or Parawing a lot know. But on the
Yeah.
Hatch V2, I wanted to make most of the bar usable so that you can grab the bar in the middle and it will fly. And you can get your hand a little bit off and it's going to be okay. Like it might sit a little deeper or have a little less power, but pretty much wherever you hold it, the thing wants to fly. So those are, and that kind of doing that made it less surgy back and forward, made it more stable to pump from. So when you pump it, it doesn't surge back and forward. It just kind of sits there and gives you a nice pull. So I think those two things, top end and stability, are pretty much what helps any beginner figure out parawinging.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Maybe we can just get into that hatch too. First of all, if you say, I want a parawing where you can grab it on the bar wherever, basically, how do you go about that? Because is that bow line that changes it? Because I have the hatch 2 here. Does that help
Yeah,
with it? Because it kind of distributes it somehow. How does that help?
yeah. So I think a big thing was moving from 3 lines, like 3 cascades off the bar to 4.
Yeah.
Because most Parawings that on the hatch there, you have the 2 blue lines, the middle 2 cascades, they're usually 1. And when you change the angle of the bar, if you depower normally on a Parawing, what happens is when you change the angle, the middle lines, all the power is still coming from, this is the A lines here, the
Hmm.
angle of the middle lines, all of a sudden the middle lines are this much longer than the A lines.
Yeah.
So it depowers whole wing from where the A lines finish. The B lines are fully depowered and the brake lines are fully depowered. So
Yeah.
you're completely loaded off A lines, which if a power wing is not super stable as well, might collapse here. But when you split I've got the A, then the B, the C, and the brake. Now when you depower, the B lines are just here, so they've only shortened a little bit. So kind of then you get an extra third of the canopy that's still got some tension on it to help keep some angle of attack in the leading edge and some stability in the canopy. And then you can, down here, you've actually been able to sheet out even more of the trailing edge of the canopy because you've got the C's further down and the brakes, so they can really sheet out. So then you can have a little bit more stability in here and then full depower at the back. Whereas if it was just the single kind of beeline setup, you've kind of just got the front third powered and then the whole rest unloaded. So that kind of helps a lot with control of the Parawing and control of the canopy. And then the same thing when you do the when you power it up, because this way you've now got kind of slowly spreading the load towards the A lines and the brakes. You're not just fully cranking on the brake lines, which will just cause it to backstall. You're pulling on the brake lines, but you're also putting quite good pressure on the C cascade and a little bit more pressure on the B cascade. So it's kind of pulling the whole power wing in and out instead of just off the one tip or one tip.
Makes a lot of sense.
of them
Could
are.
you now that's 4 lines. Could you even go further and add even more for even a smoother balance, or is sometimes it's just too much?
Yeah, no,
And I don't know what the problem might be.
I mean, yeah, you definitely don't want to over bridle the power wing. I mean, I think if you're starting to go into higher performance, like really, racing and that kind of stuff, you could probably add more and give, like I've seen some coming out now where like every segment is bridled the whole way. So there's no skipped segments. And then there's 4 or 5 cascades the whole way up each rib as well. So I think, that would be giving extra, but then, then you're getting away from that usability and beginners get a little intimidated by too many cascades, too many lines. It's not as nice
Yeah.
to stow. If you do end up getting a tangle, it can be a bit of a nightmare. So, I think going into the future, we'll see more of that stuff where Parawings get more specialized. But what I wanted to do with the V2 hatch was make a really high performance Parawing that does match the best upwind. It matches the best for power and stability, but is still user friendly and not too intimidating on the bar and the bridle setup. And
Let's
that kind of
continue
stuff.
with the bar because it looks quite intimidating. It's got, for all the listeners of the podcast, it's got I don't know if it's called a hook bar. It's like
Yeah.
it's a hook basically. Where
Yeah.
the front part, like the A lines, are not in the front of the bar, but you can like put your fingers in up front. So it's more comfortable. You can basically just hold it by 1 or 2 fingers even, and it's completely depowered, still having some tension on the wing so it doesn't collapse at all, which is super comfortable. Which one is the other one? There are 1 or 2 other Parawings who have that system, right?
Yeah.
The
There's I
Flow,
think there's
the
1 or
Flow
2 out.
V2.
I haven't seen the bar on the Flow V2, but I think you're right, and I think the duotone one has it. And
Yeah, right, exactly.
so
I haven't used those.
but basically, yeah, the idea is one thing when I was testing a lot of the Parawings as well is, and actually one is having a comfortable, when you depower, having a comfortable hand grip and not having a line go through your fingers when you're depowering, or even just when you're riding along. That was one thing I wanted to do with the bar, was completely clean it up. So there's no line with the bridge line that the lines are attached to. It's
Yeah.
all the lines are off the bar. And then you can also, with the hook, you can get your hand. The main reason is to be able to get your hand in front of the A lines so that you can really depower the wing. Whereas if you have the A lines attached into the bar, then you just need to have extra bar sticking out the end to try and hang off to, which that can be pretty annoying for tangles and also just ergonomics. You can't really hang into the hook. Like being able to hang into the hook, as you were saying, is really comfortable, and it's kind of I've heard people, like the BRM shovel handle.
Yeah.
It's kind of thing, except now you can fly it nicely with one hand, and you can let it kind of roll into your hand so that you don't need to crank your wrist too hard or hold
You
anything
don't need
uncomfortable.
grip strength as well. You don't need to hold on to it. You can like be hooked in as well,
Yeah,
which is really comfortable. Something else that stands out, and I really like that, is the harness line, which is with a little elastic like pulled through the bar, and it is, what is it, a Dyneema mantle over the elastic, so the harness is
yeah.
not away at all, in the way at all, and then you can like pull it up and hook in, and it's really comfortable. It is super comfortable when riding without gloves. Now it's summer, we don't need gloves. I'm not sure yet how it's gonna
Yeah.
be in winter when I have gloves on, if I can actually take it, but this is a great
So
idea. Like,
yeah, so we're really stoked about that harness line. I think harness lines have been something that, like, I've seen so many videos on Instagram of people with different harness lines where they take it from their harness and hook it on, or they
yeah,
have all these other things, but they're actually quite hard to use. Um, Whereas this one, one technique that I will tell you, the best way for me to hook in is you have two hands and you put your thumbs in the harness line to open it, and then you can hook in with two
okay,
hands.
yeah. Oh, nice, yeah.
So if you're just riding like normal, you put your thumbs in and open it into a loop, and then you don't need to take your hands off the bar to hook in.
That's
Yeah, like that.
yeah,
And then you can just
that's
hook in.
nice. That's a great
Yeah.
idea. We'll see how it is with gloves though, because that might be a little problem. But then you have this little guy here, and you can just like open a little window for
You
that.
can
That is a great
lengthen it a
idea,
little
man.
bit. Yeah. So I think it's really cool because it doesn't get in the way when you're packing.
Yeah.
It's gone. There's nothing on the bar that you can feel. Um,
Hmm.
so it still feels like just a completely clean bar, but you've got a harness line that stretches to like a really nice length as well.
Was
It's
that
got a
your
really
idea
good
as well?
elastic. That was Andrew Gibbons, who's our foil guy. That was his idea. So it's yeah, it's definitely a team effort, the Parawing. But he came up with that, and we prototyped actually quite a few different methods of doing it, of retracting it into there to get it perfect. And yeah, this anchoring it to the back of the bar and then looping it back through to the and attaching it to the center was the best way. We had it like a full loop at one point, but having it
Yeah.
attached, then you have power all the way to the end of the bar, which made it a little too twitchy. So having it just attached to the front half it's balanced really nicely where it is there. It sits like if you let it go, the your harness hook sits like right in the center of power. And I really like the 2-point harness line over the single
Yeah.
point as well, because then you have much
100%.
better control over sheeting on that. And because it takes all the load as well, you don't have to be like a lot of single points. You have to be like really holding on your backhand when you're going upwind,
Hmm. Yeah.
or like really pushing out your backhand when you want to depower. Whereas this one, no pressure on your hands. You're just adjusting the sheet.
You just tilt a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
Matt, can I just come back in 2 minutes? I just need to check on the baby. He's crying with
Sure,
the
man. No
first
worries. Yeah, sure. 100%.
2 minutes.
It's real life podcasting. We have my son here in the background. He's working on his dock starts. You have Ewan looking after his baby. We're all in this 100%. And life is around there as well.
So Foil Sessions is the app to track all your foiling sports, whether that's pump foiling, wing foiling, or parawinging. And Jens now included pump detection. So when you're pump foiling, can actually tell you if you're pumping or gliding, and he's gonna do the same with downwinding, parawinging, so you know how long you glide, you surf, and how much you have to pump in between. So check out Foil Sessions on the link below.
Ewan is back already. Everything okay?
He's okay. He's just about to be fed. He's
All right.
hungry.
I have my son here working on his dock starts in the background.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, it's a family thing. I just said we're all 100% in that foiling space, but we have personal lives as well, and that's so cool where these like kind of merge, and we see that it's not all about foiling. It's about life as well. And I think it's super important. I was just saying before,
Yeah.
and when we talked about the bar, for me, it's on the longer side. It still fits my pouch, but you have a pretty huge pouch.
Yeah.
But couldn't you have gone smaller? Have you tried going smaller as well?
So there's every size has a different length bar. So that's
That's a
sorry, there's 3 different
4.3. I
length
think
bars.
it's 43 centimeters. If I'm not sure, but I think.
Yeah, it's it's I think it's 38 plus the bar end, which it shares with the 5 meter, that bar, and then the 3.5 meter and the 2.8 meter are about 6 or 7 centimeters shorter than that one. And then the 2.1 is about 10 centimeters shorter than that one.
Okay.
So the reason I went a little longer on the bigger sizes is just to help with steering input and actually extra D-power, because obviously the bigger the bar you make, the more difference you can make between sheeting in and out. And on the big sizes, that because the V2 is so stable and will not frontal collapse, you want the longer bar just allows you to get even more D-power out of the wing, so you can really ride those bigger sizes really powered up and still hang on to them.
I mean, we know Parawing is all about compromise. That must have been a compromise because it's probably also on the longer side for you. Or is it, you say like, well, just get a bigger pouch and cry about it?
Yeah, I mean, it fits in our pouch as well that we make with Pro Limit. So I think it fits most pouches, if not all pouches. It is, I would say on the longer size, but I think as you say, it's all about compromises, and I think the benefits we got out of having the longer bar for usability outweigh the fact that it is just a little bit longer, and it's only in those 2 larger sizes as well.
All right. I think that's it for the
Which
bar.
I
Did
know
I
for you
forget
guys,
anything?
yeah, is they're the most used sizes for you guys. But
Yeah.
it is, it is possible to rig it on a smaller bar if you were to get like the 3.5 or something. It's a bit of a hassle to change it over, but it's not too hard to just because you just undo the bridge line basically and put it on there. So you could change the bar and use it on the 3.5 bar, but then you would we're not at the moment we're not selling bars by themselves, so it would be you'd have to be switching your bar between them, but I think that's the way it flies best at the moment.
All right. Did we forget anything about the bar, or can we continue maybe to the lines? Because
Yeah, we
yeah,
talked
I
about
want
the
to go through
line.
the whole Parawing. Because the front lines are a
Yeah,
little bit thicker than the brake lines, which makes a lot of sense because you want to collapse them here
yeah,
and don't get burned. Um,
yeah,
and if you take it in, it's a beautiful little bowl that you get.
yeah. So the lines we used, like on all the lines except the A lines, we used like a really thin poly coated like sheathed line, and the reason for using a sheathed line on the B, C, and D is because it's stiff, so they don't grip each other. There's no like real weave on the outside like a normal line, so they don't like kind of grab on each other and tangle. They like to stay straight, and they're really thin as well, all the other lines, so they really cut through the wind nicely as well. And then obviously on the A lines where you want to stow it, if you had those poly sheath lines on the A's, they would just burn your hand. So we used
Yeah.
a 1.3 millimeter line just on that center bit that you grab to start stowing, and then 1.1 on the rest, and they're all like kind of nice soft kite lines that don't burn your hands. So, and also those ones never get tangled either because they're the ones that you're grabbing and pulling all together nicely. It's
Yeah.
the tangle risk is all with the brake lines and the middle lines. So we definitely tried quite a lot of different line thicknesses and mixes. And I think the mix we've come up with is the best for tangle-free performance. And then obviously softness on the hands. And then where the stow line kind of breaks is a little bit in from the wingtips. And the reason to do that is so that you can stow all the way to the leading edge, as you were showing. It makes a really nice bundle, profile rods. Because if you stow all the way to the wingtips, then the center rods and panels don't get collapsed in, and you end up with like a much bigger kind of ball. So
But it's
cutting
still
it there,
pretty
not
small, I'd
only
say.
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is the way we've done it, it pulls it all in really nicely. Just leaves those little ears left. The other thing that's nice about breaking it there is when you do pull to depower it, it kind of breaks the Parawing near the end of the wingtip and really depowers it easily. So you're not trying to pull in the whole leading edge together. You kind of break it a little from there, and it just breaks the power instantly. So you can depower. And we also made all the sizes much shorter bridle lengths than last year, so that it's quite a easy arm length for, unless you're super short arm length. I think 99% of people will be able to stow it in one arm length.
Yeah, I measured it. I put it on the website, uponfoil.com, for listeners or viewers if you want to check that out. But this is the
Oh.
4.3, and it's less than my whole span. I'm 1 meter, almost 80, and this is less, which is really nice. And then when we come up to that leading edge, we can feel that the battens here, the rods, this is different material to everyone else. This is
Yeah.
special too, right?
That's this is a big kind of design feature around how we designed it. So they're nitinol, which is basically a metal that first of all doesn't corrode in the water, so that's good. But it's basically it's known for like its shape memory. So unless you heat it up to like a really, really high temperature, which is how you shape it originally, it will not deform, or it'll always snap back to the shape that it is in the Parawing, which is really cool because not only does it hold really stiff, so when you're stowing it, you can make a really nice ball or like a really nice pack of all the rods. But when you stuff it in or pack it away wet, no matter what you do, like we've treated some of our Parawings here really horribly for the last few months. And then every single one flies exactly true to how it was on day one, which is, I think, for me, one of the big selling points of this Parawing as well. Is I know a lot of people, I won't name brands or anything, but there's definitely some top brands on the market that after 10 sessions, the Parawing is not flying how it was at the start. Even if you try and be careful with how you pack it up and stow it, if you leave it in your pouch for a night in the car, some of those Parawings are just ruined basically. And it's, €1,000 down the drain almost, because it's really hard to fix that and come back from it. Whereas
Can I ask
this
you something
holds the
about that?
Yeah.
Because it sounds great. Still, you're part of the development team. You're with Nash, so that might all just be marketing talk, right? And I'm honestly too scared to really push that in. Do you have, or could you show it somewhere on your YouTube, on your Instagram, how you really try to deform that? Because I'm scared. I'm not gonna do it on this Parawing.
Yeah, you can like smash it together. We even had like I should put up this video. We were trying to make a different closure system on the one thing we had to work on quite a lot was how to cap the nitinol, because it's so sharp, like strong and sharp, that it was wanting to poke out the ends. But we were trying to work in the end. We've worked with a nice little cap system, double layered, like a TPU cap plus a little tiny little caps in there covered with the aramid there, so it doesn't poke through, and stitched in. So it was quite a mission to cap it in there. But we tried to hook it over at the end so that the pressure would be on the end of it like this.
Yeah.
And they were showing in the factory, they were grabbing pliers, bending it as hard as they could all around, holding it there like fully bent over 180. They'd let go and it would just ping back straight. Like no way to bend it. Like that's
That would
really
be
what
a
this
really cool
is.
video to show, just to be sure. I mean, I know it
Yeah.
will happen eventually that I sit on it, or I don't know, while surfing, just somehow like bend it. And I think it would be too far, but I'm not going to do it on purpose. I'm
Yeah.
still scared. But if you could show that,
Yeah.
that would be really
No,
nice, man.
definitely not worth trying it on purpose, but it is the whole thing with this metal is the shape memory, so it's pretty amazing.
That is
And then
really
because
cool.
of that as well, it, it does hold the profile like no matter what when you're riding like overpowered, you can hang off those A lines and the profile just sits so solid. Like some Parawings you see like the point here when it's super overpowered will kind of collapse in a little bit and you'll
Hmm.
lose the
Hmm.
profile because the rod's not that stiff. This is just like rock solid in the sky.
Yeah, that is really cool, and I really hope it's the way you say. I'm gonna believe you, man. I'm gonna believe you. That's cool. Is there anything else? Because that's like the main thing that I've noticed when taking a Parawing out of the pouch. Is there anything else that is special with that Parawing compared to maybe the other brands?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way it blends like all things. I was watching a review that someone's done in the UK between like the ozone Parawings,
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
just saying that there is like compromises with whichever one you go with in their lineup, and there kind of isn't on this one. Like the VMG is really good, the stability is good, the pack down's quite small, the bridle length is short. I think it's like, I mean, to me, it really covers all bases, and then on top of that, the longevity of it, which is something that we pride ourselves at Nash on, in kites as well, and all that kind of stuff. Is we really want a quality product. We believe your product should. I mean, this one does come in a little cheaper than the major brands as well. The competitors like Ozone, it's a couple €100 less, I think, for like a 5 meter. But the longevity is really there because these things are expensive still. We get
Yeah.
that. Like, people are spending a lot of money, and if it lasts a quarter of a good season before it stops flying as good, then that's just, it's not, firstly, I mean, it sucks for the person, but for any sport to grow, the stuff needs to be affordable and reasonable, and people are stoked on the product to come back again and buy it again for this segment of the sport to grow, because obviously wings last a lot longer, kites last a lot longer, but they're kind of similarly priced. So this stuff needs to, which I think is something we're pushing, it needs to be, not only last longer, but also kind of take you through a larger journey of your parawinging. So it's not like you need to buy this beginner, easy to use parawing, and then it's going to be like, oh, well, now I want something higher performance. Like this is going to help you learn. But I mean, I'm at there. Like, I mean, I'd say I'm a pretty advanced parawinger now, and I'm not wanting anything higher performance than this. Like I can match everyone. I mean, I can beat everyone upwind pretty much. I was lining up with the guys on the new Ozone race parawing that the single skin that they're launching. I was lining up with those guys on their Mike's Lab foils the other day and matching them upwind, like
It's of
as
course the
good as a
Parawing
race
has
parawing.
some can help going upwind the foil as well, but it's also the rider. I remember
Right.
Ridicolo, you might
Sure.
know him. He used a
Yeah.
F2 Parawing, which I had really trouble getting upwind, and he got more upwind than me with a 777 PT skin, which I thought went well upwind. So it's also about the
Yeah.
rider. Um, what I think, because you just said, you don't want people to get a new Parawing as soon as they're fed up with this one. But I want to ask you something about that, because you said from the Morph to the Hatch 1, it didn't take too long. Now from the Hatch 1 to the Hatch 2, it felt like it even got shorter. There must be something as well, because if I imagine I'm a Nash customer, I bought a Hatch 1, and now what? A couple of months later, the Hatch 2 is already out. I would feel like, oh man, I should have waited. I would feel bad. Have you thought about that as well? Is that something that you could discuss within the
Yeah,
team, or
I
is
mean,
that just the evolution and you say, no, we have to go, we have to push, we have to make it better for the next customer?
yeah, I think there's definitely a balancing act there. I mean, it's been 9 months, I think, between launches,
Okay.
which is pretty standard, I think, right
Yeah.
now for the way the market's moving. It does feel like because we launched at the kind of beginning of last winter, it feels like maybe a lot more people only started getting on it like in the last 6 months, when
Hmm.
winter was kind of end, which is when the Hatch one started getting a bit more traction. So it does feel a bit less, but it did launch in like October, I think, last year. Um, so it's been a little while, and then at the same time, as you said, like we want to have a market leading product, and I'm not by any means saying the Hatch one's a bad Parawing. I still think it's a great Parawing.
Yeah.
In the low mid range, it's a really good Parawing. It has really good upwind speed. It stows really nicely, and it's still a great tool. It has a great low end, but at the same time, you've got to push. The market is evolving really quick, and you just can't be left behind. So you've got to keep working on it. I did start working on it. That Hatch one went into production it was signed off in like August last year. So I've spent a good 10 months working on this one, I'd say. Um, I mean, we were working on it like
That's a
even
lot.
into production for this one. Like we wanted to get it out as soon as we could, but at the same time so we signed off on the patterns so the factory could start cutting the Parawings, but we still hadn't signed off on the bridles till right at the end, like till the last minute. We were tuning, like making it perfect, making all the positions perfect, and the bar lines and the bridge line all perfect. So, we really maximized the 10 months, like from start to finish. Throughout winter here, I was working on a lot of samples and just, trying to learn as much as I could, trying different things on different Parawings, and eventually put it all together kind of like March this year, and just got this one sample that was just like, okay, this is the one, like it's on. And then from there it was, getting it scaled into all the different sizes perfectly, which is again the big process. But really just constantly like prototypes come in, work on them as much as I can for a week or two, and then send off the next ones to get the next round in. And
How
it
long does
was
it
great
take
working with.
until the next round is in? If he's like, all right, adjust this and that, and then you get the next batch, is that 1 week, 3 weeks? How long does that take usually?
I mean, I'd say the process is like when I get a full size range, I mean, I'm lucky being in the gorge. You can kind of drive like east or west to choose your wind strength as well. So on the same
Nice.
day, you can ride a 5, you can ride a 2, which is pretty cool. So it takes me probably 2 weeks to really test and bridle them, and then maybe another few days to just make the new files, measure all the bridles, make sure everything's perfect. And then the factory is quite quick with our prototypes, and they've really been good, knowing that this is time sensitive. So then probably about 2 weeks of building the new prototypes, and then 5 days shipping. But each kind of round is probably like from computer design to receiving the new ones, signing off, all that. Each round is probably like 6 weeks, which is
Okay.
quite. I think it's definitely a little quicker than kites. The testing though is, I mean, if you kites are the same, this bridling takes a long time. The bridling on these takes way longer than kites, even because there's just so
Really?
many bridles, especially at the start. Once you kind of start tuning it in, then it's adjusting the lengths of the cascades more than the lengths of the bridles. But yeah, at the start, it's a lot of time sitting in the back of my van, chewing on knots and tying knots and undoing things and putting it together, and then you put it together and the thing that you did doesn't work. So then you take it all apart again, and it's hours and hours and hours of
It's a
bridling,
hard job, man. But I think it turned out really well. Like I had a session what was today? Is it Tuesday today? Was
yeah.
out last Sunday. It was this maybe 20 knots a wind. And it was perfect with the 4-3. It got me on foil easily, was not overpowered. I could really handle it well. So that worked really well. I have another question about like the whole setup, because when you get the hatch too, you get this little bag here. And there are some Parawings out there. They have really great stowaway bags. For example, I have the POW 2. I don't know if you've seen the Fly Surfer pouch. They have this kind of trail running backpacks, which are amazing. Is that something where you say, no, we're going to save on time and on cost for the customer and just choose not to do that because people are going to put it in the pouch anyway? Or is there something also to that where you think like, well, this is something we could work on too? How's it with that?
Yeah, so the bag, it's kind of one of those things that it's the perceived value, I think, of does someone, because it adds a lot of cost to the Parawing, a nice bag, which obviously is accounted for in many Parawings price. So it's like, does someone want to spend that extra, I don't know, whatever it would be at retail, depends how nice your bag is, but anywhere from 100 to 200 extra at retail probably. Does someone want to spend that extra for the bag, or do they see the price of the Parawing and the bag is like, they get it, and then the bag's like, cool, it's really nice that it comes with a nice bag. But if they're just comparing the prices and the performance of the Parawing side by side, and this one is 200 euros cheaper than this one, we find most people will rather the 200 euros less and then choose their own pouch or bag afterwards. So we obviously have a nice pouch with Pro Limit, and yeah, and it's something we can maybe look at in the future as including like a super nice bag. But right now, we talk to all of our retailers and importers and stuff, and we asked like, and the general consensus was they would rather it be cheaper with just a basic bag that serves its purpose as a bag, and then you have your pouch. And then for the people that do want to, take a spare Parawing out with them, if they take a backup or whatever, there are options that they can buy for that, or some people make their own or use some other backpack or waterproof backpack that's not really for it but it works. So yeah,
Yeah,
that was
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I have one last question about that hatch too, if you don't mind, and that is something that I always thought it's not important. And I talked to Adrian Roper and he said, well, color is not important, but I still think, especially with parawinging, color is important. It's also a safety thing.
Yeah.
And the hatch one, I had this beautiful red, punchy red color. And this one is more, a little black, a little red, I think it is. Very not very bright colors. Was that on purpose? Is that also you who says what colors you should get, or is that another department?
We still used red for the center and the leading edge, which is quite a strong red still. And then white as well. We obviously wanted the color to be like how we've done the strip down the middle and then the leading edge. And then the tips are black, so you can, recognize what's what when you're dealing with it in the water.
Yeah.
That was really important. Still, I think that's still, for most people, really, really helpful. And then we still wanted to use the red because it's quite a beacon color that you can see wherever you are. Like when you're in Hood River here, the water is quite dark and the background is all trees. So it's probably similar to you guys, except I think your water's a bit bluer than ours. But red is still a color that you see, and white is a color that you really see here as well because everything's quite dark. Whereas in like Hawaii, where we tested a bit as well, the white doesn't show up as well because the water's so blue and white. But the red is still a color that you see in blue water in Hawaii. So we did choose those colors to be, visible. We also used red on the leading edge because we wanted to use red on the top of the bar and the bar end so that, red is all on top. We could have maybe done the other way with red and then a white leading edge and stuff. But we end up choosing the white and red colorway because in I think most places or all places it's quite visible. So we did kind of still think about that. The hatch one with the beacon, the whole thing being red was really nice as well, but we kind of wanted to flip it as well for this one.
Makes sense. Now, usually once a product is out, the next one's already, you're working on the next one already. Do you, after a launch like that, can take some time off, or are you already looking and tweaking for version 3?
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm not really submitting any prototypes right now. I'm just kind of I've been trying a bunch of Parawings still, looking at what's on the market. Honestly, like right now, I'm still very happy with where this one sits compared to what's coming out. I've tried a few of the Parawings that are about to launch as well. I still feel like overall this package is better. So it is right now like a harder point for me to be like, what's for Hatch V3? Where do I go? Because for Hatch V1 to 2, there was a clear kind of areas of improvement that we wanted. But now it's starting to be like, okay, there's always, it's not like we're done with Parawing evolution and design and it can't get better. Like, of course, I'm sure we can make it better, but it's starting to also be like when you do start to want to make the VMG better or something, or the static pool better, you're starting to get into the area at the moment where you're going to be making compromises. So that's the tricky part, is how to make it better in certain spots without, making compromises in terms of usability or power or that kind of stuff. So I'm sure once the market grows a bit and matures a bit, we're going to start probably specializing a little more in Parawings and, have 2 or 3 models. But I just don't think right now the market needs that or is ready for it. I think it also creates like, for example, in the Ozone lineup, they seem to be releasing a new Parawing like every couple of months. And every couple of months, all the Ozone fanboys tell you that the last one is useless. So like the Pocket Rocket V1 came out and that was all the rage. Then the Power Pack came out and everyone's like, this is what you need. And then the Pocket Rocket V2 came out and the Power Pack was all of a sudden like 3 months old and it was dead. And then now they've got this new race one coming out and everyone's like, this is what you need. It's way better than the Pocket. So it's like, I've already seen a bunch of people selling the Pocket Rocket V2s and I feel like that just launched like 2 months ago. So that's the problem also when you specialize into things, is you're still trying to tell everyone that this is the best Parawing when you launch it, but it just makes like the other ones a bit useless. And also like I think what most people want to do on the Parawing is similar right now. It's get upwind easily with power and stow it away at some point. So if it goes upwind well, then it's nice to cruise around on as well. It's got to pack up small. I mean, that's like the basis of parawinging, is to go upwind and be able to pack it away. So, and also get up with nice power because you want to be able to ride a smaller board and foil and stuff like that. So pretty much, I think what everyone wants at the moment, 95% of people, is the same thing. Which one Parawing really covers. Obviously, when racing becomes more popular, you're going to have to focus efforts into faster single skins, hybrids, double skins, whatever it might end up being. if, freestyle with a Parawing becomes a thing, I'm sure there'll be some sort of design that makes that more specialized. And then one thing that I am kind of looking at right now is like a school Parawing, for example. Like
Great
how do we
idea.
grow this and make it like really, really easy to use? So I've got some prototypes I'm working on at the moment. That are, looking at something that's a little more accessible, really hard to tangle, really easy to get on foil, flies nicely in
Thick
the sky.
materials, well, maybe for using
Yeah.
on the street on a
And
skateboard,
and
something like that.
having yeah, and having it come in at a lower price point as well. So
Hmm.
I think that right now, honestly, where most of my efforts are looking at, because just the performance of the Hatch V2 is great and not really needing. I don't think that's what the sport needs right now is higher performance, harder to use. I think it needs easier to use and
I mean, it's hard
help.
already, right? If we look on the
Yeah.
beach, people are coming from winging and trying parawinging. Usually they curse a lot. I mean, I remember when I started, the Parawings were not as good yet, obviously, but still, I cursed a lot as well. So yeah, making it easier, that's a great idea. I think really that's the way to go, also for everyone who really wants to try these things. So thank you very much for that. Ewan, I held you off long enough, I think, because you said that you want to go out on the water. And thank you very much, man, for coming on the show. It was super interesting talking to you. I'm gonna have the review ready in maybe a week, 10 days, because I used it in all
Great.
conditions already. I know what I want to say. And thank you so much for helping me out, actually, because I'm going to use some of your knowledge in the review for sure. So thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to like tell the world?
Um, yeah, I think just the main thing that I'd want to tell people is, I mean, I'm super proud of our Nash team right now. And I think just generally that how far all of our stuff has come in the last year or two, especially. Our team is really dedicated to foiling. We have a wide range of abilities, but we also have, I think our team is the best foiling level out of all of the brands between our foil designer doing top 10 and M2O, wing designer rips on a wing, Noah and Andrew obviously in the M2O. I love parawinging and I feel like I'm at a great level as well. And then we have Des as well, who is got so much experience with all this stuff. And I think that's really showing with our new foil system, our new boards, our new wings, and the Parawing. I think the lineup is really strong, and we're kind of coming out with a bit of a slogan: "Watch out for Nash." So that's what I want to tell
Very
everyone: watch
nice.
out for Nash.
That is perfect. Thank you very much for taking your time, man. And hope to see you on the water sometime. Maybe I have to head over, man.
That'd be great. Yeah, I've actually got a friend, Nico from Geneva, staying at my house right now,
Oh,
and
really?
he's very kindly offered for us to come visit Switzerland whenever we want, and I've never been. So either if
Dude,
you make your way to Hood River one day, or I make my way to Switzerland, it'd be great to catch up.
that would be really cool. We have the downwinders that we do. We usually go up by train and then downwind for 20, 30K. So, yeah, you should join us with that,
Yeah,
man. That would be super cool.
yeah, sick.
All right, man. Have a good session. Talk to you soon.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much.
This is Up on Foil, the podcast for everyone flying just above the surface. Pump, carve, soar, let's foil!
Comment, my best trick is crashing if you've made it to the end.